Welcome to the Coach Deborah Smith's Build Your Best Life and Conversation with the Guys. My name is Coach Dr. Kevin Wilbon, and I'm here with how many we got today? Wow, 1, 2, 3. We got 4 today. May God bless that. That is great. I'm here, with another episode of Conversation with the Guys. I'm your host today, Coach Dr. Kevin Wilbon Sr., and I'm going to let these guys, introduce themselves and, give them a little short background on, what they do. And we're going to go from there in the whole 9 yards. And I'm going to start off with Mr. Deacon Dan Smith.
Yeah, good morning, fellas. Another day, a beautiful day to be here. Deacon Dan Smith. I'm married to the lovely Coach Deborah Smith. I always make sure I tell her we have 4 kids, 3 boys, 1 girl, and 7 grands. I'm a retired law enforcement after 40 years, but I also picked up a couple of businesses that I run, and I enjoy life. I love the opportunity to come on with the fellows because, we try to give young men great information. I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Deacon Dan Smith. We know you are the man. Okay, we have another Mr. Sean Smith. A little background on you, sir.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. Like you said, my name is Sean Smith. I live here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, originally from Nassau, Bahamas. Entrepreneur. I run a small business called Party DJ Dallas Entertainment Company. Just a servant. So just a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here today, sir. And down below, Melvin Lee, how you doing today, sir?
Oh, man, I'm blessed. Thank you. Well, again, my name is Elder Melvin Lee. I've been working with kids probably a little over 40 plus years, even though I don't look a day over 35. And I'm a trauma-informed care. Yeah. I'm a trauma-informed care specialist. I believe in dealing with the different traumas that kids and adults go through.
Okay. Thank you for that, sir. And
Yes,
then,
sir.
certainly not least, we have Pastor Teacher J.M. Baisden. How you doing this morning, sir?
I'm great. Greetings to all of you, great men of God. I'm here in the beautiful city of, I think it's the Greater Toronto area. I'm not exactly in Toronto. I'm about 45 minutes north of Toronto. I'm in the Ontario area. Originally, I've been migrated from the Bahamas. I see my Bahamian brother there in Texas. I'm also Bahamian as well, but I've been in Canada for the past almost 12 years now. I'm also a pastor in this Greater Toronto area, entrepreneur. I run my renovation company here in Ontario as well. And I have a beautiful family. My wife is here, and we have 3 young kids in the home here. And also I have a few older ones that are not moved out of the nest already. But to God be the glory. I believe this is going to be a great session this morning. Greet all of you in the wonderful name of Jesus.
Amen.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I was going to give a little short, synopsis of who I am. I'm Coach Dr. Kevin Wilbon. I'm an athletic high school coach for basketball and track for boys and girls. I'm also an author of 5 books. I'm a military veteran of 24 years. I'm an educator and also a motivational speaker. I've been on this show for close to about 5 years now. And, I just want to thank Coach Deborah Smith for even having me, on the show and hosting and, having us give us our life experiences and, point of views on things to help out, single parents, not only single parents, but anybody that's raising kids and especially raising young men. So I'm very excited to be here today. And with having said that, our topic today is going to be something that's universal, something that, we should all have some kind of, experience with, as far as us, going through it and our kids or anyone else that we know. And our topic today is don't just go to school, prepare for life, turning education into an opportunity. and that's saying a lot right there, especially with what's going on today and these young kids in school and the whole 9 yards, and I think that all of our goal for all of our kids is to, graduate, get out of school, become, what, something that they need to do to prepare to make sure that they're able to provide for their families if they decide to have families or anything like that, or just to live comfortably and be able to thrive in this world that we have. So I'm gonna go ahead with that first question, and the first question is, why do you think so many young men see school as something that they have to survive instead of, an opportunity to maximize, their skills? I'll say that again. It's why do you think so many young men see school as something they have to survive instead of an opportunity to maximize? And I'm gonna go ahead and start off with my man up there, Deacon Dan. Deacon Dan, you answer that question for us. Give these people that's listening, your life experiences and your synopsis on how you feel about that.
Well, the way I feel about it, I think it shows that it's shown that the connections of what happened between in the classroom and what happened in real life. They often see assignments when they go in school, tests and rules, but what they really don't always see is how education opened doors to career, financial freedom, leadership. Even some have experienced discouragement, like distraction or environmental where education wasn't celebrated. Like social media. Social media is often showing instance without showing the years of learning behind it. But what I'm saying basically is the mindset has to change from asking, how do I get through school, to asking, how can I use school to build the future I want? So school isn't just earning grades. It's about developing discipline, critical thinking, communications, or teamwork. But biggest thing is problem solving skills, and will serve you for the rest of your life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Very, very, very wise and, great wisdom there. So I'm going to go to Pastor Teacher J.M. Basin. Can you answer that question, about how many, why do you think men see school as something they have to survive than to maximize their skills?
Because I'll start off with the number one, I believe, is the root cause why they look at school from this perspective, and that is they were never taught the importance. I agree with Deacon Smith there. He said a lot of times they haven't come to the realization how important it is. And today's society has fed this mentality that, hey, education is not important. It does not guarantee success. I agree to a certain point, but it may not guarantee success, but it will help you in most of your endeavors. Basic stuff as simple as you being able to do simple arithmetic, you being able to read a simple sentence, you're able to write effectively, be able to articulate exactly what you want to relate to your client, exactly what you want to relate to whoever you're texting to. A lot of folks today, because they did not see the importance of education, they struggle in these areas. And, I don't want to say it like it is this morning. I was born in the 70s. I don't want to do the years too much for folks to figure out my age. But,
Young man, 70s, you're a young man.
I grew up with my great-grandparents, and they never sat me down and told me the importance of education. They would get up in the morning, give me my lunch, and say, have a good day.
Okay.
The weekends would pass. They never sat me at the table and say, Jason, it's very important that you get a foundation in life. It's very important that you learn the basic math, arithmetic. You have to learn how to communicate effectively. You must learn how to write a simple sentence. You must be able to read. You don't have to read at a college level, but you must understand that, you must have some level of reading skills in order to survive in this world today. And to answer the question, I don't want to, I see my other brothers are here as well. I don't want to take up too much time. To answer the question is that we were never taught the importance of education and how it may not guarantee 100% success, but in actuality, it'll help you. It'll help you to survive in this thriving world.
Good stuff, sir. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, Mr. Sean Smith.
I
Can you
can't hear you, Coach. I think you
So,
are muted.
so I would go to, I always look
I
at
can't
cause and effect.
hear none of you
So the
guys.
history, I go to history. You know, a lot of people.
Can you hear
guys
me?
hear me? Can you guys hear
Yes.
me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. I can't hear nobody else.
Can you hear me?
I would go to the history. You know, our forefathers, my grandparents, and my parents.
I
You
can't
know,
hear you, Sean.
they. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
We hear
Okay.
you, Sean. I don't
Okay.
know
All right.
Pastor and Lee. Y'all can hear him because I can hear him well.
Yeah, everyone can hear me.
I
Can
can hear.
everybody hear me? Okay. So I go to the history. I think a lot of young kids don't understand what our
I can't hear you.
forefathers did to get educated. Can you hear me, guys?
Can you tell Sean to unmute his mic?
You're
I'm
mute.
unmuted.
Yeah, you unmute.
Hey, we
I'm
can't hear you guys.
I'm unmuted.
Can you make sure your mic is unmuted?
My mic
Yeah.
is unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
I think y'all got some problems with back there with y'all, Lee and Coach Basin.
Yeah, I can.
We can hear Sean.
I
Yeah, I
can
can
hear
hear everybody
everyone
too.
else, but I can't hear Sean.
I hear you and me, but I
Okay.
don't hear nobody else. Mhm.
Okay. Just a little technical difficulty, but I'll go ahead and try to answer the question best I can. So I think, you know, for a lot of kids, they don't understand what people did just to have
Can you hear
for us,
me, Coach Kevin?
just for us to get an education,
But I can't hear you.
just to, you know, and
Okay.
so it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and people losing their lives for education. So I go back to the history of it in terms of young kids don't know what it is, in terms of what we had to do or our forefathers had to do just so that they can read and write and add and subtract. So if they get a clear understanding of our
My
history in
wife is
terms of
telling me to
what we
log
had
in
to
on my
do
phone.
to get
And
educated and to be better, because all our parents want us to do
then
is be better than they are, and so education is definitely one of the keys in terms of being able to be better, and we have to kids have to we have to sit down and kind of let them understand, try to get it, you know, understand so they can understand, you know, what our forefathers did to just for us to be able to read. I mean, in slavery time, going back to history, if you were black and you could read, that was in some according to where you were, that was a death sentence. You know, so it's important that they understand, you know, where we come from to where we are today, and they need to maximize being able to go to school and get educated.
All right. Thank you. Pastor Basin, everybody now. Pastor Basin, everybody. Okay, he must be. Elder Lee just went off, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to. Let me see. Elder Lee, can you hear?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm gonna go over the question again. All right, the question is, why do you think so many men see school as something that they have to survive instead of maximizing their skills and talents in school? All righty, still having difficulties. I guess what I'll do is go on to the next question, and I'll try to circle back if he can get back on. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving.
Okay. All right, the next question. Looking back, what is one lesson you wish someone would have taught you in school that could have changed your life? And I'm going to start off with you, Pastor Basin.
Log out and log back in.
You think we should all log back in?
Mm-mm.
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Did you hear the question, Pastor Basin?
I can't hear.
You still can't hear?
We can hear you though.
We can hear you. He can't hear the question though, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with Deacon Dan. Can you answer that? Looking back, which one of these lessons that you would have taught you in school
Okay.
your life, if someone would have taught you?
Yeah, I think one of the things is with financially budgeting and doing some savings. I think that would have helped me a whole lot with having experience with doing it better than what I was doing it when I first come out of school. Because during that time, my father always said, "Well, as long as my bills are paid, we good." So I think that's one of the things I would like to have done on this understanding budgeting, saving, and we didn't have no investing, but basically just managing money wisely.
Got you. Financial literacy. Got you. Got you. All right, Mr. Sean Smith. Tell me one of the things you wish someone would have taught you that would have changed your life when you were in school.
I would,
Got you. Financial literacy. Got you. Got you.
Listen here.
All right.
I would venture to say a
hear
foreign language. Today, today's world is so big, but still yet small. With the advent of social media, we're connected. I mean, just on this panel right now, we got someone in Canada. I'm in Texas, Florida, Texas. So it's big, but it's still small. And being able to speak a foreign language is being bridging that gap to communication. Being able to speak French, or even in Texas where we have a lot of Spanish speakers, being able to speak Spanish fluent. I do know some words to get around in Creole from growing up in the Bahamas, having Haitians living in the Bahamas, but just being able to be fluent in another language, or even Mandarin. China is so vast, and in fact, with their population, and we buy everything basically from China. So being able to go to China to buy something, as a business person, being able to speak Mandarin. So definitely being able to speak a foreign language fluently.
Good stuff. That makes a difference nowadays. Now, if you know how to speak different languages and stuff, you're one up on a lot of people that's only stuck with one language, and you can get better jobs and stuff like that because they're looking for someone bilingual that can actually speak other languages that can go out in the workforce. So yeah, that's definitely something that
You'll definitely be an asset and not a liability to a company. Being able to speak a foreign language.
most definitely. Good stuff. Pastor Basin, can you hear us now?
Dr. Weber, can you turn your volume down a little? You get a lot of echo.
Okay. What about now?
Still getting some. I don't know where it's picking it up from.
What about now? Still hear the echo?
Yeah, he'll still hear some. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
All right.
What about now?
Oh,
Better.
That's better?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Pastor Basin, did you hear the
yeah,
question?
I can hear you.
All right. You want me to repeat the question to
Let
you?
me see something here.
Can you hear Pastor Basin? So he cannot hear. Okay. So I guess I have to go
It's
to the third question. It's one of them days, but God is
still
good.
getting it? I'm turning down the volume.
Everything is going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah. Can you hear Pastor Basin? So he cannot hear. So
I can hear you. I'm using a number of avenues here.
Okay. This is what I'll do for you, Pastor Basin. Can you hear Pastor Basin? I'm going to put up numbers like 1, 2,
Yes, I can hear you.
and that way. You can hear me now? Okay. We're on question number 3 now. How can young men begin preparing for their future careers before they graduate?
Yes.
Okay, Deacon.
Yes.
Deacon Dan,
Yes.
how can young men begin preparing for their future careers before they graduate?
Well, young men should, one of the things I say, explore their career through research and job shadowing. They can do that. They can volunteer or complete internship whenever possible, or they can, develop communication and leadership skills. And another thing, they can read books related to career that they're interested in. I think that's one of the biggest things to do. If they find a career they're interested in, follow it up, learn a little more about it, and they can determine if this is what I really want to do, or this is what I really want to do, and I'm getting all the information I can by reading these books related to the career. And they could also build a relationship with professionals already working in that field. Because that's one of the things I've done. I've been around a lot of different people, but something I'm interested in, I can work with the person, stay there, learn it. Then sometimes maybe I might not use everything they done taught me, but I know where I'm going and where I want to go.
Got you. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, Mr. Sean Smith, can you answer that question as well?
I can. I have a good example. In fact, my nephew turned 17 today. He's going to be a senior this year.
Congratulations.
This summer, he worked in 3 different areas. He worked in a warehouse. Then he worked for the local news company, and now he's working in. He wants to be a marine biologist. So his last job right now is during marine. Working with the Marines in marine biology. So I would say immerse yourself in whatever field, and then spread yourself. Don't just get stuck into one field. Like my nephew right now, he's a great writer, so that's why he went to the news company, and so he got a chance to kind of experience that aspect of what he wants to do. Working in a warehouse definitely is kind of, it's humbling as well, and it kind of gets you to this kind of, because you always say that you want to do this, you want to do that, but when you get and you start working at it, you start doing it, it's kind of like, oh, this is more difficult than I anticipated. So I would say immerse yourself and spread yourself, and weigh out all your options. Don't just be narrow-minded in terms of but spread yourself and kind of get a feel for the different various fields that you're interested in. I would even go to say a lot of people went to college, they're not doing a lot of people are not doing what they went to college for, and so I would say really just spread yourself and immerse yourself with the different fields and different avenues that you think that you want to go into.
Yeah, right. That's exactly because that you have to go to college, in order to, be successful. And that's not necessarily true. You don't have to go to college to be successful. It's a lot of millionaires and billionaires out there that never went to college, and they're still successful. I would say, like, go ahead and earn some technical certificates, do internships, shadow, some bosses, one day at work, or even your parents or, your grandparents to see, what they're doing in the whole 9 yards. And that could prompt you to want to, do your own thing, like, develop a website or do something, to go, because nowadays, social media is big, so, if you could do some things with that, you may be able to, be financially, fit. Because you look at all the stuff that's going on now, you got all these young kids, on social media making all this money. You know what I'm saying? So, they're putting their, talents together and skills in other ways than going out and getting a 9 to 5. And, they're actually, making money. And I'm not withstanding going out and getting a 9 to 5, but I'm saying there's so many different ways that you can make money today. So many ways that you can live comfortably and have a career and not work 9 to 5. But I would say this, that, you do not have to go to college in order to be successful. Now, should you go to college? I feel like, yeah, you should go to college. And all of my boys went to college. All of them graduated. I got one that's still in school now. But, I always say a good education is a great foundation to have, a good base, to start off with anything. So yeah, good
I
stuff
would
there.
I would even venture to say this.
Yeah.
I would even venture to say this: a plumber or electrician, those guys are making six figures right now,
Yes, sir.
and in the construction industry right now, it's lacking. I mean, all our baby boomers who are, they're retiring, and so we need someone to pass on the baton. And so those industry uh, is definitely prime to earn. You can make a not even a good living. I mean, an excellent, comfortable life being a plumber or electrician.
Yes, sir.
I agree 100%.
All right, Pastor Basil, you can hear us now.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with that same question. How can men begin preparing for their future careers before they graduate?
I love the two brothers' answer. It's all about following your passion. A lot of young men today, they go into career, they go into industries, they go into jobs that they're not passionate about. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of them are frustrated. This is why a lot of young men today are not effective in their endeavors. It's simply following your passion, and this comes back to growing up to in certain environment as well too. This is the job that us as parents have to find, see the gifting in our children, see the gifting in the young folks that God have allowed to come around us, and encourage that gift. Encourage that gift, help them to develop the best you can and steer them in the right direction so that they can maximize that gift. And a lot of times in school today, we focus on one area, and I agree with my brother 100%. You have to be there's a very powerful statement that we say it humorously. You have to strive to be a jack of all trade and the master of none. And then oftentimes they forget the ending part. The master of none is simply, in most cases, better than one. You
Right.
know, it's best to have a well-rounded knowledge of different areas in life. So, in event that you could survive under any circumstance or situation, my brother spoke about plumbing and electrical. A lot of folks run away from these areas simply because they believe that it's physically demanding. That it pays a toll on your body, and it's a lot of physical part attached to them. No, but hey, they are the top, even in Canada. These plumbing and electricians, they are killing it, man. They are making a lot of money. A lot of folks don't want to go in these areas simply because they say it's too physical. They like the clean job in the office and laid back and looking good and all that. But these jobs are in demand. So in actuality, to answer your question, is that we ought to encourage, ask the young people, folks, what's their passion? What would they like to do with their life? And when once they answer that question, we ought to steer them in the right direction so they can be effective in these areas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Ribbon, one comment I like always like preparation creates confidence.
Yes, sir.
That's powerful.
That's big, and it does. It really does. Okay, moving on, guys. What habits separate average students from young men who maximize every educational opportunity? What habits separate average students from young men who maximize every educational opportunity? And Deacon Dan, I'm going to go ahead and start with you with that.
One of the things is showing up every day with a positive attitude. Being on time, completing assignments before the deadline. And, and I always say, ask questions instead of pretending that they understand. A lot of them come and say, and they don't want to ask the question. They didn't understand it. Because if I don't understand something, I'm going to ask questions.
Sir.
And that's something they should do. And also you can read beyond what is required. That'll help you too. So those 4 or 5 of the things that I thought of.
Okay, definitely ask questions. Because if you don't ask questions, you will be stuck. And it's not embarrassing to ask no questions. So I definitely will ask questions, especially if I don't know exactly what's going on. Good stuff.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Mr. Sean Smith, what What habits separate average students from young men who maximize every educational opportunity?
I would say two things, and these two things definitely, for me personally, was helped me in where I am today. Listening and relationships. In listening, we have two ears and one mouth. So if you listen more, we can hear, we can understand, and then building relationships. For me, when I was from even in high school, I knew all my teachers. My teachers knew me. In fact, I had a teacher who would say, "That ain't Sean Smith, who mother worked to the tiny shop." So knowing me, and me knowing the teachers, if I had a problem in college, I had a problem, and I go to a professor and I say, "Hey, I got this problem. All right, Sean, here's how to solve it. Or, all right, don't worry about that. I got you." So just building those relationships, having a rapport. If a teacher knows you and who you are and your character, and someone comes and says something ill about you, a teacher say, "No, that ain't." So that's where that relationship comes in. But listening is really key to it as well. Being able to listen to people and not fly off the handle, but listening and hear what people are saying, whether it's a teacher or even fellow students. Being able to really take it in before you speak. So for me, listening and building strong relationships with everyone around me.
Good stuff. Okay, Pastor, can you answer that
Yeah,
question?
I was.
Separate average students
Uh,
from young men who maximize every educational opportunity.
Two things. There's a number of areas we can explore, but there's two areas that I believe that stands out in order for us to be effective as young people. If we were still teenagers today, two areas, and that is discipline. Discipline is very, very important. It's essential for young people today, and even me in my early 50s. When I look at the young people today, I said, that's the number one thing that I believe is lacking. They get up when they feel like, they do what they feel like because the parents, regular parents today, or I would call them secularized parents, or parents who really don't care about their children, they allow the children to do as they feel like today. So discipline is very important. When I was growing up, that was very, very essential. Discipline. You get up a certain time, and when I thought about this word discipline, I'm reminded of, as I said earlier, I grew up with my great grandparents. They would go to bed early and wake up early, and after a certain hour, I would say around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the night, we used to have those oil lamps. I grew up, I was born in the Bahamas, as I said earlier. We used to have those oil lamps. And if they cut the lamp off, they tune it down and kill the light. If you want to stay up in the dark, you could sit up in the dark if you want to. But in actuality, they're simply saying that it's time to go to bed. So even today, that simple discipline, that simple practice, I practice that today. I get up, I go to sleep at a certain time, and I get up at a certain time. So discipline is really, really lacking in a lot of young people today. And secondly, my second point is a lot of them are really not focused on what they want to do in life, not focused on their goals and aspiration, not focus on things that they need to accomplish at that particular age in their lives. So, uh, when I was in my early stage, when we were growing up, we didn't have so many distractions. I'm not blaming, I'm not blaming social media today because I believe that there is good and bad in all of these areas. You know, I believe that all of these are profitable at a certain extent. But when I was growing up, we didn't have so many distractions. We didn't even when I was in elementary school, we didn't have cell phone. I didn't even think I don't even recall in high school. I think a part of a high school we had cell phone. So we didn't have so many distractions. And so the main goal was to, hey, you show up to school, you do what you need to do, and follow the teacher instruction. I agree with my brother earlier. If you don't understand something, you ask.
That's right. Good stuff. Definitely good stuff. And
Let me
I'll add, go ahead, Deacon Dan.
say one thing. I like what Elder Bates said, but great success is rarely built on decision, but it's built on hundreds of small disciplines
Right.
repeated
Yes.
constantly.
You're
And
right.
that's something, discipline is that's the word right there, Pastor.
Got to be disciplined. If you're not disciplined, you're unstable. If you're unstable, you're not going to be focused. So, and just like Pastor Basin said, you definitely have to be focused. And I just want to throw something in there real quick. I think that, most of the kids or, young men that want to be successful will surround themselves with people that are passionate and driven to be great. Being in a crowd like that helps a lot, because you got these different groups and stuff of people around, but which group are you going to be in? Are you going to be in the group that like to play around? Are you going to be in the group that is focused? Are you going to be in the group that is driven, and your peers that is driven to be great, and be ambitious? So I always tell my sons, that's the group that you want to, go with. The one that's ambitious, the ones that want something out of life, that's the group that you should be with. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. And the next question is, how important are mentors, coaches, teachers, and positive relationships in helping a young man succeed? How important are mentors, coaches, teachers, and positive relationships in helping a young man succeed? And I'm going to start with you, Pastor Basin.
Oh, that's that's vitally important. But man, listen, when I was growing up, I had a number of mentors and folks that I look up to, and it's vitally important because they give you that drive. They give you. It comes right back to the same word we spoke about earlier. Focus. They help you to be focused. And this is one of this word here is where a lot of people don't like to hear. A lot of young people don't like to hear, and it's accountability. You have to be accountable for your actions. That's what mentorship, that's what role model does to us. Uh, when I was growing up, I had and I went to work at a very early age. I think I got my first job at 13 years old.
Sound like me.
And I used to work every summer after 13 years old. Every summer I would work, and my boss there was he was very strict, very hard. At that time, I thought he was very bitter, but he was just he just had strong leadership. He was very disciplined. There is not one day I saw that man come to work late.
Wow.
Very seldom he would be sick. If you come, and this is my summer job. If I was to come to work 5 minutes late, I would have problems.
Wow.
And he was just molding me. He was just shaping me into the man that I am today. Even today, I'm the first one up in my house. And most cases, I'm the first one in bed at night too. But by my case and point today is that mentorship, these role models are so important because they give us accountability. They give the young men and young ladies. Let us not forget the young ladies as well. They give them accountability for their actions. They need
Yeah.
to be accountable. Are you making the right decision as it relates to your future? Don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary situation. That's a very powerful statement as well. We need to teach them and show them the magnitude and the importance of that statement as a role model and folks that young people look up to, and teach them the importance of accountability. You have to be accountable for your actions.
Right.
Every move.
Everything.
That's going to help you in the long run. That's going to mold you into the man and the woman that God has predestined for you to be.
Yes, sir. Responsible and accountable. Okay, Mr. Sean Smith, can you tell me how important it is for mentors, coaches, teachers, and positive relationships in helping a young man succeed?
It's very important. The word Pastor Basin said, that discipline. It took me back to my captain of the Boys Brigade. Uh, Discipline was a key word growing up, especially in my house, coming from a large family. But it's very important for having mentors and teachers and people around you to mold you. Like Pastor Basin, I had a employer who said, if you're on time, you're late. This morning I have an event that starts at 11, and then I have this. So I got here around 7, set up so I can be on this podcast, and then I'm gonna break this down, and then I set up my setup for my event. So it helped me to be on time and to think ahead and be proactive. All of that, is important as you traverse yourself through this journey called life. Uh, you have to think ahead. You have to all this type of stuff. Leaders teach you. Teachers teach you, and sometimes we don't get it as kids. But when we grow up and we look back at it and we start pulling, it's like, I know what you're talking about, because I learned that. That's what my grandparents taught me. Pastor Basin said it. His grandparents, like him, my grandparents had the kerosene lamp, and when that cut off, you're
That's it.
So
That's it.
we learn lessons, and sometimes lessons we learn, we don't really catch it right away, because from early your parents are trying to teach you. I mean, as a baby, you have to learn how to walk. You start by creeping. So every journey, every step you make in life, you're learning. You people are around you are trying to teach you something, and so if you don't hold on to it and grasp it, you're doomed to fail. Learning is key to being better in life, and so everything around you, as you have to grab it and hold on to it, so that you can be better.
Right. Good stuff. All right, Deacon, how important are mentors and coaches and teachers and positive relationships in helping a young man succeed? I know you've been around for a long time. You've been with the force, the church. You dealt with men, you dealt with young men, you dealt with kids. So tell me, what is your take on this? Because I know you have a lot of experience with this.
Well, I'm gonna break them down a little bit. A mentor provides wisdom. A teacher provides knowledge. Coaches build discipline. Parents provide guidance. And positive friends provide accountability. But I find this: they need to choose who help you become the man you are capable of becoming, not just the man you are today. Every young man needs people in their lives, would challenge them, encourage them, correct them, and believe in them. Because, I work with some young men that will want to do, help me do these, they like my handyman service. I get them there, show them, I encourage them, and tell them what to do. And they come back, when they turn back, I really appreciate what you showed me. Something I know, something I like to do, something I know. But that's one of the things. The right relationship can accelerate your growth, while the wrong relationship can delay your future.
Right. Good stuff. And I want to say thank Mr. Glaze, for saying that this was a great conversation. We appreciate you tuning in and listening to the podcast, because this is something that's very, very important. And we will hope and wish that, we could get thousands and thousands of people to watch this podcast, because it's very important for our young men to know this stuff and to succeed, in life. Okay. And just to add to that question right there, I think it's important for mentors, coaches, and teachers, because they've been there, done that, had the experience of success, had the experience of, downfalls and picking themselves up and being able to move on. And they can, use that, as a tool to mentor these young men out there, to let them know, just because you fall down, you can get back up and you can succeed, because everybody in life is going to have a letdown. I don't care who you are. You have been there, you have done that, but it's not about you staying down. It's what you're going to do once you're down. Are you going to stay there? Or are you going to get up? So Having mentors and coaches and teachers that had that type of experience will vastly help, our young men, succeed in life. So I'm gonna move on to the next question. Okay. How can young men discover their purpose while they are still in school instead of waiting until they become an adult? Again, how can young men discover their purpose while they're still in school instead of waiting to become an adult? And I'm gonna start with you, Deacon Dan, on that one.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say it like this: God often reveals the purpose while we are faithfully serving. Okay, learning and growing, not while we're waiting for everything to become perfectly clear. I'm gonna say it again: God often reveals purpose while we're faithfully serving, learning and growing, not while we are waiting for everything to become perfectly clear. I guess you can ask yourself, what problem do I enjoy solving? And that's me. Just like a lot of young men say, I enjoy doing banking. I like doing electrician, plumbing. But the thing about it, then also, what gift has God given you? God give all of us gifts. That's one thing I do know. And also, what do people naturally ask me to help them with? Or what activities energize me instead of draining me? So those are some of the things. But, biggest thing, purpose, develop one faithful step at a time.
Good stuff. Most definitely. Most definitely. So I'm going to go ahead to you, Mr. Sean Smith, on that question right there. How can young men discover their purpose while they're still in school instead of waiting to become an adult?
This is an interesting question, and I want to kind of get real deep into it, because I think a lot of old men don't know their purpose. So judge young men. This is where we need that village. This is where, for an example, in African and Asian and some families, they tell you as a kid what you're going to be. You're going to be an engineer. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. And so then they pour into you. Here, in certain communities, if you're good with basketball, good with football, okay, you're going to be an athlete. You're going to be and then they pour it into you. Athletes are good. We need athletes, but we also need those doctors and lawyers and electricians and plumbers. And so it takes, that family or that pastor or that person in the neighborhood who see a gift in a child to kind of grab that child and say, hey, come on over here, let me try to do this, or to pass on that baton. Because a lot of times, like I said, we as old men sometimes don't know our purpose. And this is one reason why we have this chat, to kind of help men, to young and old, to kind of help them to tune in to what God is pouring is giving them or telling them. So it's important to me that we all, as this village, grab a kid or grab a nephew or grab a cousin and say, hey, come on, let me show you how to do this, or you need to do this, or let me pick you up and take you over here to this football camp, or let me take you into this basketball. We have to be accountable for our village and our community. We have to start reaching out and helping to build it up, because if we don't do it, we're gonna fail. So like certain communities, telling kids and grabbing kids from an early age and pointing them in the direction, I think we need to continue doing that as a village.
Okay. Most definitely does take in the time and right now. All right, Pastor Basin, I want you to see if you can enlighten us a little bit on this question as well. How can young men discover their purpose while they're still in school instead of waiting until they become an adult?
They have done both. The two men, great men before me, answer that question so well. But I'm gonna answer it from a biblical perspective. The Bible says we ought to train up the child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. A lot of times, we want children to go into certain areas, but it's not their passion, it's not their desire. And I said it earlier. When you there's a powerful statement that goes that when you find your passion, when you find your gifting, you'll never work another day. I think the late Dr. Miles Monroe made that statement. And I go right back to that. You know, when we see that gifting in a child, it's for us as an adult to steer that child in the right direction to develop that gift. And in some cases, we ought to help them to develop their gift. Deacon Smith said it so well. He said, "What are they? What are they? What most of your friends ask of you? What do they ask you to do for them? Are you good with organizing stuff? Are you good with fixing stuff? Are you good with your hand? Are you good with analyzing stuff in your mind? Are you good? Are you a good speaker? Are you a good writer? Are you able to? Are you have? Do you have this passion for poetry or these stuff?" Everyone wants to go, and it is needful in the world today. Doctors, lawyers, surgeons, and all of that. But what about the dirty work? What about the we hitting this over and over again? What about the electricians, the plumber? What about the home inspectors and these areas that folks say, what I? But in actuality, the world needs every one of these jobs.
Right.
And my case in point today is that it's all about finding the child passion, finding what they're good with or what they're good at, and steering them in the right direction so that they can develop that gifting, so that they could even become more effective in that area, so that they can have a better understanding of what this area entails, and so that they could, perhaps maybe support their family one day in that area.
All right, great, great, good stuff, most definitely. And I would also, add a little bit to it that, the young men that's out there, they should try to separate, careers from, having a hobby, because a lot of times, a lot of these young men, they focus on one thing and really feel that it's going to carry them through in life, and that may not be the door that they need to go through. So it could just be a hobby and not a career. So they have to pretty much find their niche and know that, hey, this is not what's going to get me successful. This is not what's going to help pay the bills or do the things that I need to do in order to be successful. So, make sure that you definitely know your career path versus a hobby. I'm going to move on to the next question. And the next question is, what role do faith, integrity, and personal responsibility play in becoming successful beyond the classroom? What role do faith, integrity, and personal responsibility play in becoming successful beyond the classroom? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Sean Smith.
I was going through the questions last night, and when I heard this question, one thing came to mind. I'm at peace. I'm at peace because I know that I'm a person of integrity. I'm a person of faith, and I take responsibility, so I can sleep at night. I can rest easy. You know, uh, having peace because you're responsible, and you know that you took care of your responsibility. Having peace because you have integrity, that no one can say anything ill about you, or even if they say it ill about you, you know it ain't true. Uh, but just having that character, I'm at peace. I don't have to look over my shoulders. I don't have to watch my back. It's very important. It's very important. Uh, my whole foundation was built on that from growing up in St. Agnes Church and being a kid of who parents instilled that in us from very small.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, Deacon Dan,
Yes, sir.
what do faith, integrity, and personal responsibility play in becoming successful beyond the classroom?
You know, these three qualities become your foundation. They should become your foundation. Because number one, faith gives you hope. When life becomes difficult, I remind you of that of your identity is rooted in God. Just, just your achievements. Integrity, meaning that doing what is right, even when no one is watching you.
Mm.
You know, like you got employee coaches, you got community. Trust people whose characters matches that word, integrity.
Right.
The personal responsibility means refusing to make an excuse. You know, one thing about I'm chairman deacon board, and when they come to me and try to make an excuse, I say, look, them excuses don't want to satisfy nobody but the one making them. Don't satisfy me.
Done heard it before.
Right. So successful men take ownership of their choice and learn from mistakes and continue to grow. But that one thing, talent may open the door, but character determines how long that you stay in that room.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we know that you've been through all of that stuff. You're very experienced. You've done it all. So definitely appreciate that. So, Pastor Bazin, can you answer that question? What do faith, integrity, and personal responsibility play in becoming successful beyond the classroom?
I believe without these three, young man or young lady will ultimately fall apart. They will ultimately have plenty problems in their lives. Because first of all, not only that you have to have faith in God, you must believe that whatever God has placed inside of you is enough to survive and be successful in life. Must believe in yourself. Believe in the gift and the ability that He has given you is enough to accomplish everything that He has planned here on planet Earth for you. Integrity is vitally important because it's not only you it's what you do when no one is watching, is your mouth, your mind, and your action. They line up together as one. That's what you mean what you say and you say what you mean. Not only mean what you say and say what you mean, but you do what you say you will do. And in some situation, when you cannot do what you say you will do, you let folks know that you cannot do what you said you will do. All of that is a part of integrity. And then we see personal responsibility. First of all, you are responsible to yourself. We didn't talk much about this, but I'm going to add this in that to you are responsible for taking care of yourself, whether it may be physically, spiritually, every aspect of your life. And a lot of times we overlook the physical aspect of our life. You only have one body. You have to take care of yourself, personal responsibility. You must monitor yourself. Am I doing good health wise? Am I doing good financially? Am I doing good spiritually? Am I doing good socially with my family and my loved ones? All of these are part of personal responsibility, and this causes us to have a holistic approach to our lives. Look at our life from every aspect. Integrity is important. Faith is important, and there's so much different areas that makes up us as human beings. We have to pay attention to. But these two are vitally important: faith, integrity, and uh, personal responsibility. In order for us to be effective, you know, we need these three areas of our life.
Thank you, sir. Most definitely. Do what's right. Take a total ownership of your life. Okay, we come to that part of the program where we ask this last question to everybody to give their last final thought and their life experiences on this question. And I'm gonna go ahead and start it off with Mr. Sean Smith. Okay, and that the last question would be: if every man listening could leave with one challenge this school year, what would you encourage him to start doing today? I'm going to repeat that again. If every man listening could leave with one challenge this school year, what would you encourage him to start doing today?
One thing that I would challenge a young person who is in high school today graduating from high school, I would challenge them to meet. Sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted here. I would challenge them really to know every person, one thing from every person from his graduating class.
Mm.
And I say that, and it's going to build a relationship. It's going to help you be able to communicate and help you to see, because everyone is different. So it's going to help you to see, everyone in their own space. So I would challenge every person. I would challenge a young person to go and introduce themselves and know one fact from the person they met, and meet everybody in your graduating class, and have know one fact from every person.
That's good. Good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go to you now, Amazing. If every young man listening could leave with one challenge this school year, what would you encourage him to start doing today?
A very simple statement I'll leave with them, and that is to make every day count. Every day count. Because once it's gone, it's gone. Every hour, every second, make every day count. The Bible talks about maximizing the time because the days are evil. Because, God does not live in time, He lives in eternity, but He controls everything. He's a sovereign God. So He expects for us to not only manage our lives, but manage the days and the time that's being allotted to us as human beings. Because what would really determine success. How well we manage our time, how well we manage our days, how well we manage everything that's being given to us as human beings. And all comes back as we summarize everything that we spoke about here this morning. All comes back to management. We must teach the young people today, the young man that's listening this morning, maximize every day of your life. See how every day can be a day that you can look at it in a way that how can I enhance every area of my life today? How can I add to every area of my life today?
All right. Thank you, sir. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Appreciate that. All right, Deacon Dan, if every man listening could leave with one challenge this school year, what would you encourage him to start doing today?
The first thing I encourage him to do, pray daily, wisdom and direction. Something I would encourage him to do. And treat every class as a preparation for your future, not just another requirement. But one thing, just, like I say, just don't go to school. You grow in school, you lead in school, you serve in school, and you prepare in school.
Mm.
The future doesn't simply happen. It's built by decisions you make today. That's what I leave with them.
Well, we're at the end of the program today, and I'd like to thank Mr. Sean Smith, Pastor Bazin, and my man Deacon Dan Smith for being here, sharing their wisdom and knowledge and experience on everything. And I think we lost Mr. Lee, Elder Lee, but I'm sure he'll be on, for future, dates or whatever, and I just want to say thank you to him, Pastor Ricardo, and most definitely thank the coach, Deborah Smith. Without her, this would not be possible. And I want to say that make sure me and Deacon Dan get ready to do it together. Get this book, Build Your Best Life, because this is like a roadmap and like a Bible to learning, to grow, to experience life, to make sure that you can see everything that's going on that will help your young men, on their path to success and to do all the things that's right, knowledgeable, and to be successful. My name is Coach Dr. Kevin Wilbon. I've been your host today, and I want to thank Coach Ricardo Smith. Coach Ricardo
Miller.
Ricardo, what's Ricardo's name again?
Miller.
That is terrible.
He wish he could be a Smith. Pastor Dan, he wish he could be a Smith, right?
Ricardo Miller. I want to thank him for everything that he's done today as well. And, and We're here every second Saturday of the month. So please tune in. Tell everybody that you know to check this out. That this is a great platform to learn and to grow and to have your young men to watch. And for single parents, and not only single parents, but parents, period. We are out. Have a blessed and beautiful day.
Let me give you this one closing challenge for the podcast.
All right.
Young men, your education is more than a diploma. It's preparation for your destiny. Every class, every assignment, every challenge, and every relationship is helping shape the man you are becoming. Don't settle for simple passing through school. Maximize every opportunity. Pursue excellence with integrity. Stay rooted in your faith, and remember that the habits you build today will determine the life you live tomorrow. Your future is not waiting on luck, it's waiting on your preparation.
And y'all heard it from the mayor, Mr. Deacon Dan Smith. And with having said that, you guys have a beautiful, blessed weekend, and everybody that's tuned on, the same to you. And may God bless you and keep you safe. Peace.
Thank you.